All right, let's jump to the Monday night game. We got the Las Vegas Raiders going to KC to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 7-point favorites. Total is 51. Who do you like in the captain spot for this one?
So I'm going to get pretty sneaky here and go with Darren Waller. I think, Devontae Adams and Travis Kelce should be the top two options, but I think since Waller's been fairly quiet these past couple weeks, I'm guessing his rostership in the captain slot specifically should be fairly low, but he does have a massive ceiling. We know that. And he could have a big game in what should be a pass-heavy trailing game script for the Raiders. And it looks like Foster Moreau, he's missing practice again this week, could end up missing his second straight game. It didn't really help out Waller last week when Moreau missed, but Moreau has been eating into Waller's playing time and target share early in the season. It's been very concerning to see. So if Moreau's out again this week, I think Waller does set up nicely here. So I have to get, I can't believe I'm saying this, but contrarian by going with Darren Waller in my captain slot here.
Yeah, it's been a rough start to the season for Waller, man. He dropped a touchdown. He essentially lost the game for them by dropping that touchdown.
No, it's been rough. Like I said, I can't imagine too many people on him. That's kind of why I like him here.
Yeah, I think for me, the top play in the captain spot is Devontae Adams. The Chiefs are 29th in DVOA against number one receivers. They also struggle to the left side of the field, which is where he winds up the most. So I think he has a big game, but there are, I think, a lot of options if you're trying to go and save some salary. And you mentioned Waller. I also think this is a good game for Juju Smith-Schuster. He's kind of been alternating like good and bad games, but he hasn't gotten to the end zone yet. But I think he could have a high volume game here because the Raiders are a team that's playing a decent amount of man coverage, and they're playing the 11th most. And then Kansas City's seen the third most man coverage. So without Tyreek, teams aren't as scared to man them up. And Juju this year is averaging 2.2 yards per route per Pro Football Focus versus man coverage. That is more than Travis Kelce. And, the Raiders defense has also been struggling on throws to the middle of the field. And about 2/3 of Smith-Schuster's targets, obviously are over the middle. He's playing out of the slot about half the time. So I think this is a really good matchup for him. And I think he's a sneaky guy who he helps you. You could still stack him with Mahomes, but now you could probably add another one of those mid-tier guys in because Juju's not going to be as expensive as a Travis Kelce or a Devontae Adams in that spot. So I like him a lot. And I think both running backs are in play in this one as well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had that really good game against Tampa. And, I think they're really good at scheming him catches against man coverage. So most running backs, you're going to see them play better against zone, but even against man, Edwards-Helaire has kind of been really good this year. And he is also averaging more yards per route against man coverage than Travis Kelce. So, and for his career, he's averaging more yards per route against man than zone, which again is very rare for a running back. So if he could just get anything going on the ground, I think, especially on DraftKings, a full PPR, I think he could have another good game. And then Josh Jacobs is top 10 running back for me this week. So I know that you just have, you debuted your luck rankings, and Vegas has been one of the most unlucky teams. So I think, yes, they're 7-point dogs, but I think people could at least expect this one to be potentially be a little bit closer than the Vegas line indicates.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your Juju call. And how do you think he's looked this year? He looks pretty spry. He's looked really good in the offense. And a lot of times I have to remind myself, he's, not some old 10-year vet. He's still just 25 years old.
Yeah.
But he's looked really good after the catch. Next Gen Stats shows that he's been averaging close to 2 yards over expected after the catch, which is one of the top rates in the league. But he's looked really spry. So I think we could see a big game from him coming up very soon. So I do like that call this week in the captain slot.
Yeah, the guys I'm kind of bumping Juju up this week, and MVS and Hardman, I think, are kind of trending down. They've been trending down in route participation as well. They've gotten Sky Moore a little more involved. We'll talk about him in a moment. But I think Juju, kind of what we thought coming into the season, it's kind of been up and down with him, but I do think that he has kind of solidified himself as that top target after Travis
Yeah.
Kelce. I don't, Mahomes is trying to say it's going to alternate from week to week, but I think it's going to be a little more consistent with Juju than maybe he anticipated, because they really haven't been able to spring MVS, and Hardman. They just kind of, he pops up here and there, but it's always been hard for them to kind of involve him like on a consistent every down basis over a long period of time.
Yeah.
All right. What about for the dart throws? We got?
Yeah, dart throws are pretty tricky. For the Raiders, I got to go with Mac Hollins. And after week 1, I thought, oh, Hollins would be perfect for a showdown slate. He ran route on 90% of Carr's dropbacks. Didn't really do much, obviously. Unfortunately, he has gone off a couple times since then. So the cat's out of the bag with him. I think people are aware of him. But he's coming off a fairly quiet 3-catch for 33-yard game last week. He had a long touchdown called back, I believe. And Hunter Renfrow, he's expected to return. So Hollins could be overlooked here, but at the end of the day, he is going to be running route over 80% of the time. Could make a splash play or two in this game, which is all you need for a showdown slate. So I think, his rostership might be lower than I expected, say, at this point last week. And then on the Chiefs side, you mentioned him. He has been a disappointment this year in Kansas City, but I'm going to have to go with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. His usage earlier in the season was a bit different than we expected, or what we're used to. However, he has seen his ADOT go up each of the past 4 games. So he has now turned into more of that deeper threat. I believe his ADOT was up over 13 last week. And he's coming off a season high 3-catch for 63-yard game. So he could break the slate with the single downfield catch here. So he's probably my favorite dart throw on the Kansas City side. And I would hate myself if I didn't also mention Jody Fortson, who is usually good for a vulture touchdown every few games or so. He has 2 catches on the season, and both are for touchdowns. One was a 1-yarder and one's an 11-yarder, but they love having him in there on those red zone packages. So he is the perfect type of backup tight end play for a showdown slate.
Yeah, he is, and he also does really well against man coverage too. So it's like if he's gonna be in a game, it's to catch a touchdown. That's essentially.
And they gave Noah Gray that crazy handoff, like he ran in for one.
The Blake Bell special.
Yeah, exactly. Like Andy Reid loves to get creative around the goal line, so it does set up a lot of these vulture-ish kind of touchdowns.
Yeah, I was reading The Athletic, and they were talking about like, oh, no one would have ever expected that Noah Gray play. And I'm like, have you not been? I literally commented it to the author. I'm like, have you not been watching the Chiefs? They run quarterback sneak with Blake Bell. Like they did it like 5 times because remember Mahomes busted his kneecap, so they don't quarterback sneak with Mahomes. So that's why they use the tight ends. Kelce does it too. So if there's a quarterback sneak that needs to happen on the Chiefs, it's going to be Kelce or Noah Gray, and maybe eventually Fortson gets one too. But that gives it, like, I always project Kelce and Noah Gray for like 0.1 carries every week because of that exact.
Yeah.
So like that call, and I gotta go with Sky Moore. He's finally saw his routes run jump up. So it went from 9% in week 3 to 26% last week. And I know, they got ahead, and, that could have something to do with it, but they have been saying they're looking to increase his playing time. And he has been, his couple of catches this year, deep ADOT. So against man coverage in particular, his ADOT is above 20, and he's averaging 3.2 yards per route, but he's averaging over 2 yards a route. Period. So that's what you like to see out of a rookie. Hasn't got many opportunities, but has been very efficient and getting some downfield targets. And even though I thought, it was possible that Moore kind of played at the expense of Watson. Watson has also been pretty good in these kind of spots against these kind of defenses, and he's also seeing a pretty deep average depth of target. So I'm going to have a lot of Moore Watson. I'm going to fade a little more of like Hardman. I know you like MVS, but even him, like I'm trying to go with like these bottom of the barrel Chiefs receivers, because I can see them start to work in a little more now that now we're past the first month of the season. So I like them, and I'm going to mention them every time the Chiefs are on a showdown slate. But Isaiah Pacheco, there's so many different ways that he could break the slate. They could just start working him in more, as they've kind of been doing. he could get goal line work, which we saw in the preseason, and we've seen that even this year it hasn't really translated. I think he had a touchdown against the Cardinals, but also he's the kick returner. And if there's garbage time, he also gets an uptick. So like he has like 4 different paths to fantasy production, and really talented guy. So I think we're going to send eventually, maybe even this week, or maybe it happened already, but I think Pacheco is going to overtake Jerick McKinnon, who's going to be a lot more situationally like used, like maybe just pure hurry up back, like Jerick McKinnon. But I think they're going to start working Pacheco in more as that, to spell Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I think Pacheco definitely leapfrog McKinnon last week. And Pacheco, he could score from anywhere on the field. He's a home run hitter, and he looks damn good, number 10.
Oh, yeah, the new 10.
Yeah,
new 10.
It's too bad, like, he doesn't really get used in the passing game much, which certainly hurts his value. But like I said, he is a home run hitter, so this is the kind of slate where you should definitely have, a lot of shares of Pacheco. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but like you said, that is a path for him, seeing 10 plus touches like we've seen 2 times this year.
Yeah, and I was kind of tempted to look at the Raiders backs, because Kansas City is 28th in running in DVOA on passes to backs. They're giving up the most targets, most receptions, and most yards per game to running backs this season. However, Josh Jacobs is dominating those stats.
Yeah.
This is thank goodness we were on those like Jacobs unders early in the season, because these last couple of weeks he started to dominate passing game work, and that's new for a McDaniels offense. But on the flip side, that means Brandon Bolden only ran around 13% of the time last week, and he's trending down. So, I'm just going to kind of stay away and just roster Jacobs in the captain spot and do it that way, rather than trying to take a dart throw on Bolden. Abdullah's essentially been a non-factor too. We thought he was going to work in. And then Zamir White doesn't run pass right. He's like the typical McDaniels guy, only carries, if that, he's like Garrett Blunt in waiting or something. So.
Exactly. No, we're done attacking Jacobs receiving reception unders. We have to pivot. Well, we have to keep doing that to Cam Akers. And as long as they let us, as long as they give us props, Kenneth Walker. Oh, how good was that -5? That was just such a rare prop where it was like, I bet it. We talked about it, and then like
there's still value on it. Like,
4
yards later.
You
4 yards later. Yeah.
I was mad that I didn't see that, because I was looking at that game right before they must have posted that prop. And then I saw it down to 9.5, and I said, man, I would bet this down to -3.5, and it would have hit. But but really a guy like that, it should be like 6.5, because he'll probably get one catch, and that's about the median. So 9.5, way too high.
Yeah. Of course, be sure to follow us on the Action Network app if you're into that kind of stuff. We digress. Let's get back to it. We got some fullbacks on this slate too. We got 2 of them. Michael Burton and Jakob Johnson. Any preference?
Got to go with Burton, just because of, like we mentioned, Andy Reid's creativity, around the goal line. I think Burton, I don't know if he's scored a touchdown in the past couple years, but he seems like a better back. I don't even know if Jakob Johnson's been used yet. Oh yeah, it's 1 carry for 1 yard. There you go. But I'd have to go Burton. To be honest, I don't like either of these fullbacks. I think Ricard from the other game is definitely a play, but these are a little bit too extreme even for me.
Hey, Burton's averaging 4 yards a pop this year running the ball. So,
I see that.
So, he's I like Burton. I think, Burton on this kind of slate, it's because you have so many expensive players, you could find yourself in that position where you just want to spend way down, and you're just going to need a little luck, because you might need like a specific combination of 5. And then it really, the 6th guy just has to do something. And like there's times like there's always different kind of ways to win the slate. It just depends on how everything shakes out. But if that happens, Burton, I think he's always in play, because like you said, Andy Reid creativity, he could get a goal. I mean, he could take one of those quarterback sneaks for all we know.
Yeah. He had a touchdown last year. I just verified it. He had a touchdown last year. So, 1 in 16, 1 in 17 chance.
Yeah, not bad.
Probably was scoring a touchdown. You're trying to take down an entire slate. Probably worth, 1 lineup out of 150 if you want to go that route. But definitely have some shares of him.
Or one out
But-
of every 17.
No, oh yeah, you could do that. But no, 0 shares of Jakob Johnson.
Oh, you're gonna jinx it. He's gonna
I
get
know,
the
I'm
he's gonna
trying,
get the
like-
the Derek Carr play action fake. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, please.
No,
And it's gonna
you know-
be Jakob Johnson. Oh,
you know who it actually is going to be? Like, this is an actual
Uh-huh.
prediction. Jesper Horsted. He's the guy.
Oh man, did he get a route last week or was he?
No, I don't think he did. No.
he's just out there.
He is like
Blocking.
when he was on the Bears, like he's pretty athletic. Like
Yeah, he is.
He can get open. Like if they so choose to send him out there for a route, he can get open. And if Moreau's out, like maybe we'll see him run a couple routes, but he would definitely be like the dark horse troll touchdown in my opinion.
Oh man, imagine Darren Waller keeps struggling and then they're like, oh, bench him for Horsted.
Oh God.